Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time, as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. And welcome to Smash Saturday, where we talk about all things Smash related until we get a new Smash game, whether that be Smash 6 or Smash Ultimate Deluxe. And today I want to talk about a character that you are wrong about, that has been incredibly undervalued for a very long time. I feel like I have enough going for me, enough knowledge of the character to talk about this at a decently deep level. And that character is going to be Banjo and Kazooie. This character has been a very long requested character, finally making it into Ultimate in the first DLC pack, and ultimately just fell flat for a lot of people. There were high hopes because the character was so heavily requested, even since like Smash 64, he was supposed to make it into the roster as far as I know, but technical limitations, not being able to put enough characters in, not being able to make him work. One thing led to another, he didn't make it in. I suspect he was supposed to make it into Melee, but since the Microsoft acquisition happened, it just didn't work out, and we finally got him in Smash Ultimate. But a lot of people found him to be fairly underpowered and kind of a lame character in a lot of ways, and it's easy to see why. If you've played Smash Ultimate online at all and you've played an Elite Smash Banjo-Kazooie, you probably share the same sentiment. Character is very lame and very annoying, especially in an online setting. So it makes sense that a lot of people just don't like the character or didn't want to invest time into the character. Let's talk about some of the pitfalls of Banjo and why people don't value him nearly as much. I think one of the biggest things is that he has a lot of juggle potential with tools like up air, but his vertical threat is not high at all. His up air does not kill. It never is going to kill at all. It doesn't have a whole lot of knockback. It is good at racking up damage and keeping you up in the air since it is a disjoint using Kazooie's wings, but it's not a very good tool compared to a lot of other up airs. So that alone gives Banjo a lot of problems here. Not being able to threaten in the air nearly as much, especially when the opponent is over you, which is a really big deal in Smash Ultimate, and especially in the meta, makes him just more limited. You have to take stocks with forward air. You have to hit with a raw Wonder Wing. You have to confirm off of grenade. There are lots of things that hold him back in that regard. He doesn't have the craziest frame data. Wonder Wing, while incredibly strong and invincible for the entirety of the move, except at the startup, is very laggy. It's pretty slow. You only have 5 uses per stock, which is kind of baffling for me, especially when all these other overtuned DLC characters exist. There's just a lot going wrong for Banjo, and a lot of people just didn't see the value. One of my favorite players, Tweak, played Banjo right when he released, ended up getting 5th at a major tournament, just barely losing out to ESAM going to game 5, had a real chance of making Banjo win a major right off the bat, and then he never really played the character again because he is incredibly technical and doesn't get a whole lot of reward off of his interactions. At least that's what people thought for a very long time. You did have some people like Raito who picked up Banjo after playing Duck Hunt for a very long time. I suspect he was a very big Banjo fan waiting for the character. He took Banjo to a lot of tournaments, did very well with the character, but he stopped competing at a top level for quite a while, so we didn't really see a lot of him. Until one day we got Toraguri, TG in Japan, who started to make some waves with the character, doing a lot of work with the character. And then slowly but steadily, we've seen the character rise in the Japan meta at least, to the point where now Toraguri actually takes sets off of top players. He even wins tournaments, going against some really highly ranked players. And most recently, he was able to get 5th place at Delta 9, a giant major in Japan. He was one hit away from going to winners finals to fight Mia. He was very, very close to doing what no other Banjo has even thought about doing in a very long time. And it was really encouraging to see. Now, my brother-in-law, one of my best friends, he plays Banjo. He's been a Banjo main since before they even announced Banjo-Kazooie was coming to Smash. He's been waiting for that long. He loves the character. He loves the games. And he really likes how the character functions in Smash Ultimate. He understands the pitfalls, but he's been able to work to overcome those and find out what works for the character, the tools you need to master in order to make the character work. Now, some of these include things like utilizing Breagle Blaster a lot. It's a really weird tool. If you press it one time, it shoots out an egg, but if you hold down the button, he goes into Breagle Blaster mode and you can jump multiple times in the air, since Banjo does have that extra jump, which is incredibly useful. It's so funky watching him do a triple jump in the air holding the Breagle Blaster, but utilizing this and getting the right hitboxes and everything can confirm into things like Wonder Wing if you can know how to do the cancels, which are really, really frame tight. really difficult to pull off. I have tried them myself. I tried playing Banjo for a little bit. I really liked the character. I thought he looked really cool. I decided I was going to give it some time and try and figure out these things. It is incredibly difficult. Some of the more basic tech, like getting a B reverse grenade pull in the air and then catching it with a Z catch and then being able to throw it, is also fairly tight. If you miss your window, grenade goes off pretty quickly, and so you won't be able to utilize a projectile in hand. Stuff like that kind of turned me away from the character. I didn't have the expertise or the know-how to do it. But I have watched my friend, and we've been playing for a very long time. We were training partners for a while when we were going to tournaments. We play like every single week together. I really love how the character works, and he is a significant threat if you know how to play him right. And Toraguri clearly knows how to play this character well. He utilizes the grenade in a way that I don't see many other Banjo players doing. I have seen it start to creep into online play, which is really cool actually, because most Banjos online will resort to jumping in the air, doing an egg lay, jumping away, watching the egg hit, and as soon as the grenade hits, they'll do another one, and they'll just kind of circle camp utilizing the grenade and waiting for openings. Not an awful strategy, but it's also not super effective, especially against characters that have more speed or more range than Banjo does. Utilizing the grenade catch in air gives him a lot of options to threaten at ledge if he's trying to get back to ledge, so he doesn't have to burn Wonder Wing. He can instead pull a grenade, catch it, throw it over by ledge, and put on a lot of pressure so the person either has to shield or get out of the way so he can get back to ledge almost for free. This is very, very potent. Or in neutral, it's a very good tool at keeping people away. Watching TG go up against a Snake player, I can't remember exactly who it was that he was going against that he ended up losing game 5 to. Watching him use grenades versus Snake's grenades, which are superior in pretty much every way since Snake pulls them and holds them in hand automatically. You can drop them and pick them up. The timer is longer. Watching him do the grenades back and forth with Snake is really, really cool to see. It's incredible to watch someone that just masters their character so much and is able to utilize that projectile, which seems kind of haphazard to use because of the bad timer and the way that the RNG with the bounces and everything works. It's really cool to see someone like TG really pull out all the stops to utilize this tool to its full effect. He also uses Breagle Blaster very, very well. I don't see him getting the KFC cancels is what they're called, when you pop up the characters and then can't do a jump cancel into Wonder Wing to take stocks really early. He definitely does that, but what TG really does and what he does very, very well is he just out neutrals people. Part of what makes Banjo a good character is that he has some range and some disjoints. He has this projectile that he can utilize, but TG takes that a step further because he's just a better fundamental player than a lot of people. I will give credit to TG. This takes a little bit away from my Banjo argument, Banjo being a very good character, but I know that TG is just a really superior player in a lot of ways, and if he played another character, I'm sure he'd do very, very well. But the fact that his neutral is better than you makes it so that he doesn't have to work nearly as hard as most other Banjo players would to take stocks, to win games. He just outplays them. He outthinks them, he outmaneuvers them, and that's one thing Banjo does very, very well as well. The fact that he has a triple jump really gives him a lot of mobility options. He's not super fast in the air, but he does have some mix-ups. He also has the grenade lay that he can do that can change his momentum and give him more mix. So essentially has almost a pseudo fourth jump in the air. There's a lot of mix that you can do with Banjo to outmaneuver an opponent, and the fact that he's a little bit smaller as well makes him very difficult to pin down. And if you have neutral like TG does, he really just threatens a lot of damage, which is something that Banjo typically struggles with, but TG waits for those openings, and as soon as he gets one, he's going to hit you with a grenade, he's going to hit you into a neutral air, he's going to do a little string off of that, he's going to hit you with Breagle Blaster. He's really good at racking up damage in the scenarios where you really need to. And in a meta where racking up damage really quickly is very valuable, a character like Banjo that kind of nickels and dimes you away isn't perceived as very valuable, but the fact that TG gets an opening and capitalizes on it so well shows off that the character has the potential to be really incredibly strong. I think this character is easily a high tier. very easily in the high tier category. I think on the official tier list, he's somewhere in the C category. I think in the first draft, he was like a D tier character. I can't remember specifically. Very, very low compared to a lot of characters. And I think that's just really underestimating the character in a lot of ways. TG has shown that the character can go really, really far. And again, credit to him for being just a very competent player and making Banjo shine in a lot of ways. But that's just to show that the character is much better than you think he is. It just needs the right pilot. I felt the same way when Tweak picked up Diddy Kong. There were Diddy Kongs doing great things. Sure, they were doing plenty of stuff in their regions, nothing on a big scale. And when I remember when Diddy came out, I think it was at oh man, what was it? Congo Saga, something like that. He busted it out, and MKLeo busted out Mewtwo. And Leo just absolutely destroyed Tweak. It looked like the Diddy was not the answer at all. But Tweak really loved the character and really believed in the character, especially after the buffs. And he brought it to Summit 3 and had one of the most spectacular finishes of any tournament ever. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I see that same potential like coming out in Banjo with TG. And it's really fantastic to see. I expect Banjo to rise in a lot of people's opinions. Even if it's just one person piloting him, it's going to give inspiration to other people that really love the character to really go out and put in the effort to master their neutral and then master Banjo's tools. Utilize that grenade to its fullest ability, utilize your movement, be as evasive as possible, and also capitalizing on those times when you get big good openings. So that's what I want to talk about today. I think Banjo is much better than most people think. I think he's a solid high tier. I think he has a lot of potential to be top of high tier, and in the right hands, like TG has shown, he can actually threaten like high runs and even tournament wins. He's gotten some lower tournament wins. I think he had some potential to actually win that tournament if he had won that game 5. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.